Tier lists are a very interesting thing because at the end of the day, everybody wants their favorite character to be at the top, and when they inevitably suck and are at the bottom, things start churling. Hilly churl. Things start turning in your head and you're like, this thing isn't right, so I'm going to downvote the video and I'm going to put negative comments. So I invite you, leave as many bad comments as you want because we will be discussing takes that you're probably not going to like. Why do I say this? It's because from my point of view, I like characters in a different way than, well, the way the meta might see them. I do not care about how strong a particular character is in their best team. There's certain categories that I find more valuable in characters. For example, flexibility. That is something that I value probably more than their maximum floor or ceiling, their lowest floor, things like this. I am a fan of being able to use different comps, not to be tied into a single comp, and to see similar results, to achieve different outcomes, one could say. So, that was a ramble, but I think it's time to get into the tier list, and to start off, we're gonna do the sustains. Aventurine is in the tier 0, and then Fushuan, Gallagher, and Huohuo are 1 under. Now, I don't care about sustains. I don't use sustains. So, my opinion on sustains is not as impactful or as educated, one could say. So, I agree. I actually do agree. Aventurine is better than Fushuan and Gallagher. Huohuo is very good, but is a little bit more niche in the sense that Aventurine is the superior tank to Fushuan, because Fushuan I haven't used in 6 months. I just haven't used her. So if I use Huohuo and Aventurine and Gallagher is actually probably used more than any of these because he has just a crazy amount of toughness damage and versatility because of his skill point efficiency. I should be a rapper or a poet or nothing. So, Huohuo, realistically, her healing is amazing. The fact that you can put her on the speed set or the watchmaker set is also very, very good. These 3 sustains all have ultimates that attack enemies, which means that you can't use those supporting sets. So that is just one little benefit of Huohuo, but I'm going to get over the sustains because this isn't too much of a category to talk about. Now, Luocha, I don't care. He's so unbelievably useless. I apologize. He has a strip on his ult, so maybe that's good. But for the most part, just nothing special. Lynx, nothing special. Just a standard bad character, but it's fine because she healed. To be honest, if you play teams right, these 2 sustains are all you need to clear. If you use a DPS like Misha that can freeze, or if you use Wealth that's got Imprison, these little aspects that are going to help the survivability of your team makes it so you can clear with a level 60 Natasha versus MOC 12, and I've done that before and it's super fun. I've actually done it multiple times. It works very, very nicely. Even March 7th being a single target shielder is actually also great. I mean, genuinely, just very, very good. Realistically, the comparisons between March 7th and Gepard, even though this is a 2-tier difference, I think is non-existent because March 7th has an extreme frequency of attacks, which helps her in follow-up comps or also in turbulences where you need to attack the enemies, right? The more stacks you're going to get, damage bonus based off the number of attacks, or follow-ups, you're going to get more stacks. She has much, much more versatility. And Gepard, I find that even though his skill can do the freeze, it's just not as good. It's just not as safe, I want to say, as just being able to shield every time with your skill. Now, as for Bailu, she's got the revive, so probably one of the best simulated universe ones, maybe, if you don't have the one that the buff that gives you the free turn. So, time to shift into a little bit more of a important category. And this is the conversation between Ron May, Robin, and Sparkle. Because this shit doesn't belong here. It's very good. I admit it's amazing for Super Break teams. However, I don't care for Super Break teams. It's versatile in the sense that you can quite literally use any DPS, but it's also extremely boring because there's no versatility to the way you're playing. You just break and then attack broken enemies. As for Sparkle, which order should we do? Sparkle, Robin, Ron May. Let's start with Ron May. It's rough. It's rough. Tier 0 versus tier 0.5 for Robin and Sparkle. I don't know if the only reason they're saying that is because she has weakness break efficiency. Perhaps. She also has that survivability aspect, so you don't need to worry about sustains as much, or you can go with a much weaker sustain or no sustain. When it comes to Robin and Sparkle, you don't get those benefits. However, the buffs from both Sparkle and Robin are more than Ranmei, because Ranmei isn't exactly a buffer. It's a very good team-wide buffer, but does not have as potent as buffs as Robin and Sparkle. Now, the skill point efficiency of Sparkle is absolutely insane. The 3-turn ultimate, allowing you to run Dance 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 with no downsides, is also crazy. When it comes to Robin, it's rough because... Wait, why is Robin tier 0 in Pure Fiction? It's very interesting. Is that just because of a synergy with Herta? I'm not completely sure. Robin is a character that needs attention, right? You need to play with Robin consciously. She's not an auto character. You need to perhaps use Tingyun, use Bronya, use Sparkle. These 3 characters paired with Robin allow you to do these little shenanigans where you can instantly get into Concerto. Once you leave Concerto, you can get 2 turns back to back, so you can make sure you re-enter Concerto. And if you can play around with your speed tuning, then you can actually accomplish some pretty amazing results using Robin, and I think she's one of the most impactful harmonies, just a little bit more of a difficult character to actually fit into your team to achieve those results. Trailblazer, already kind of talked about it a little bit. I mean, it's just, it's whatever. I guess it belongs. Enjoy your guys' free character. That's 0.5. So, Jiao, being in 1 next to Silverwolf and Tingyun is odd, mainly just because Silverwolf is not nearly as good as Pela. I feel like I've talked about this 10,000 times, but if it's an E1 Silverwolf, it's very good because of the 2-turn ultimate, but other than that, 3-turn ultimate on a single target boss is just not good in many circumstances, and Jiao, pretty much being Pela, but slightly different, makes it so Pela definitely belongs up here, because there's no way Jiao belongs down here. Jiao, in my 2 weeks of playing, I'll be honest, does not have the versatility that I would have liked at E0S1, because in many comps, Death Shred is just so good, especially when you're stacking it, that at E0S1, that 35 plus 18 vulnerability you're getting isn't that much better than Pela. Although when you incorporate the extra ult damage with characters like Argenti, Misha's a little bit rough because you need to run Pela for the extra ice res, because ice is just so good with Pela. But characters like that, they're going to benefit a little bit more, I want to say. I completely lost my train of thought. I don't know what I just talked about. So let's move on to the next character, Tingyun. Tingyun 1000% belongs in this tier. Just done. Dance, Dance, Dance immediately with a technique that probably rivals the best techniques in the game, because you can stack it and just have some incredible functionality, or just a really cool tech that's going to allow you to do many, many things, because you get to start the wave with your ultimate right off the bat. Now, Bronya being this low maybe makes sense. I mean, I personally haven't found too many roles for Bronya unless you're doing a 134, 135. Not to mention the cleanse on Bronya is also helpful in a lot of situations. Not always, but in zero cycles particularly, very, very good. But I don't even think she can guarantee a 3-turn ultimate, because usually you want to toss in a couple of basics in there, unlike Sparkle. So I personally don't disagree too much. It's whatever. Now, as for the 4-star buffers, Asta, Guinaifen, Hanya, and Yukong. Right off the bat, Hanya definitely belongs up there. She's just insane, because I found that the skill points pretty much comes out the same as Sparkle. It's really insane, just the level of, like when you start stacking Dance, Dance, Dance on Hanya and Tingyun, you've got 2 very fast characters, you're giving your main DPS the attack buffs and the speed. You really see some cool results, especially when you pair Hanya with Asta, because then suddenly you're getting a DPS that can sometimes reach 300 speed, which is insane. Now, Guinaifen does need some time to ramp up, but for the most part, she has just some not insane, but very good compatibility with characters like Black Swan. because you can use her as a wind trigger if you've got the ult on Arcana, and then at the same time her toughness is really good, and she does have some built-in action advance and some energy gain, so she can either go break or she can also go kind of like a debuffing support route with like Eagle very fast, and I think that's good regardless. Now, Yukong, that's an interesting character because she really, really, really falls off in comparison to some of these newer characters we got. I mean, literally the buffs that Robin gets is absolutely disgusting, not to mention the full team action advance, but the 2 turns in specific of buffs, even though they're so potent, is rough. Now, when it comes to nuke setups where you want to hit 100% crit rate, actually, I think Yukong's absolutely wonderful. You know, characters like Yunli where you can chain weight to then chain your counters, and because that when the enemy's turn goes, you're not losing those buffs from Yukong, it actually works out very, very nicely, but it does take a lot, and I mean a lot, of speed tuning. Even at E6, you need speed tuning, so it's definitely a tougher character to build. I guess we're in the specialist tier now. Okay, so DPSs and specialists next. Starting off with specialists, we've got Firefly, Black Swan, Boothill, and Kafka. Sure. I mean, I guess Firefly belongs here just because they've spent 4.5 out of 6 months, this is including the next 2 MOCs, that are going to have the Choir as one of the bosses in MOC 12. I am unsure as to why the creativity of the Star Rail team has just completely diminished when it comes to MOC content. It seems like they decided, hey, we've got Pure Fiction, we've got Apocalyptic Shadow, you know what? Let's just increase the time by 200% in between patches, and you know what? Why even change the bosses? You guys like it, right? You guys want to use Firefly to beat the same boss for almost half a year straight? Go for it. It's great. Well, okay. In that case, I guess we'll put her at tier 0 just because they like to design the most just tailored boss and then repeat it over and 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 over again. That is the end of the rant. Going into, really quick, Boothill versus Firefly. Instant win for Boothill. Don't care what it is. He's got the implant just like her. Sure, it's on the ultimate. He's got a 2-turn ultimate. He's got a 2-turn ultimate if you break and get the energy from the standoff and also kill to get some energies. It is absolutely disgusting. You can put him on Eagle. You can put him in Super Break. You can put him on just a random 2-piece with no light cone, and he's still 0 cycles because Break doesn't care. It is just unbelievably disgusting, not to mention with the new patches coming out, Hule, Feixiao, we're switching to single target bosses. We're getting away from the Firefly AoE type, even though we're going to get that boss soon. We're going to be pretty much locked in to just destroying these 2.7 million HP bosses or whatever the hell it is. I don't even remember, but seeing those 1 million Boothill shots are going to be crazy. Single target also. Now, Black Swan and Kafka in the tier under, I mean, I guess it's fine. The Black Swan, it's rough because, I mean, Topaz and Kafka, I want to say are like enablers, but it's different because Topaz, you don't need to run in follow-up teams, but it does seem like Kafka needs to be in follow-up teams. You can replace Kafka for Gwenaifen, but the results aren't as good, so I don't really know how to justify which one is better than the other because they're both damn good. But if you were to put just one by itself, Black Swan is way better than Kafka, I think. That's a tough one. That one could actually spark a very interesting conversation. So do put into the comments what you guys think between Kafka and Black Swan. I mean, they just have such different roles. I don't even know how to compare them. Yeah, Black Swan almost seems like a DPS. Kafka is the specialist, not the other way around. Why is Dot in specialists? Are any other Dot characters in DPS? I guess they're not. Okay. So, March 7th, Tier 1. March 7th is damn good. Genuinely is so good. So good. Her toughness damage is crazy. Skill point efficiency is crazy. Gives speed like crazy. Gives 36% break effect and 60% crit damage, I believe, to her Shifu or her master, whatever you want to call it. And that's just a damn good buff. Damn good buff. Damn good buff. So I really, really like her. Also, the flexibility of the fact that every character you designate, you're going to be able to copy their element, makes her work in so many teams. And that, my friends, is why she definitely belongs 1 tier above. Wow. I realize I haven't really been shifting around the tiers of these characters, mostly just giving my opinions on them as a whole. Now, Topaz. With Feixiao coming, she's definitely going to jump up here, just because her and Moze are going to be so good, or Moze, I like Moze better. They're going to be so unbelievably good with Feixiao. I mean, just the frequency of attacks is going to be crazy for Robin, going to be crazy for the ult generation on Feixiao. Just very, very good stuff there. She has been aging like fine wine ever since her release, and she just seems to be getting better and better, especially because we're getting into the follow-up meta versus the break, I think. I don't know what Rappa is going to do. She might actually be a break-focused Year Edition character. I haven't checked the Reddit or whatever, so I'm not entirely sure. Now, as for Luca and Zhui in Tier 3, I mean, I don't really know why there's a gap here. Luca is a one-punch man. He is one-punch man. I don't know how many push-ups and sit-ups and runs he did per day, but probably more than Saitama, because realistically, he's just disgusting. I mean, actually, he's disgusting when it comes to his power from a 4-star. You do need his E6, though, to get those retriggers of those massive break bleeds, but just building him with pure break effect and HP defense, who cares? Just like Boot Hill, Tank Hill, or I could say. Just very, very good. Zhui, they just don't put any quantum. They don't release any quantum. There's been no quantum bosses. There's been some inside Pure Fiction, but for the most part, unless you want to go into MOC 11, they just hate quantum, and I think they're going to keep hating quantum for the next 12 weeks at least. So, who knows? Zhui, very good character. Not the most flexibility, I want to say. Does work in a bunch of teams, but if you want her value, you need to run Tingyun or characters kind of like Tingyun to be able to get her battery up, because she really, really needs her ult, or you need Ron Mei, or you need to go against Quantum, and if you don't go against Quantum, then you need Tingyun. It's just a whole bunch of shenanigans, but very fun character. Niche characters. Niche characters, Jade. I mean, Hyper Carry Jade is amazing in MOC. I think she can zero cycle everything currently, and that's like low cost, not even my teams. So I think Jade is very, very, very good in MOC, although for the majority of characters or people, I don't know if that statement is valid or not. Sampo is whatever. I don't care for Sampo. I haven't leveled him ever. Welt is interesting because I don't even know what is a specialist. I keep on trying to figure this out, but okay, yeah. It probably belongs lower. I mean, very good. His E2, I think, is when he shines, just because then he gets more energy, and then he can self-sustain, so you don't need to run a sustain, so you get that 12% vulnerability and resolution, that 16% def shred. So these two things coming in tandem with the imprisons and the delays and everything is just a very, very, very good character when you want to play him as a 4th slot instead of a sustain, because probably not good with a sustain. Actually, not good with a sustain. Unless you're going super break, then it's good. Whatever. Trailblazer. Su Shang, I don't know why they put Su Shang low. Why in the world is Sampo under Su Shang? Su Shang is damn good. Su Shang, these three, Su Shang, Luca, and Zhui, probably all belong in the same tier and probably belong higher, because that is an interesting decision. Finally, we've gotten to the DPSs. Boot Hill needs to be here, but it's fine. So, damage dealers. I'm sorry, what is a damage dealer if it's not dealing 1 million per hit? I mean, specialist damage dealer. Anyways, back on track. Acheron, being the tier 0 DPS, is... well, let's just say there's no argument, really. I mean, yeah. Damn good. 1 shot. 1 ult. That's all you need. Just pure death. I mean, that's... I'm almost drawing a blank just because there's not much to really say about her. Just unbelievably good. And now with the introduction of Jiao, just disgustingly broken, I want to say. In Pure Fiction, in Apocalyptic Shadow, in MOC, in the shower. I don't know. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. So, Ratio being the next best DPS over Yunli, Jingliu, Imbiber. That's it. What is the reasoning? What could the reasoning be? Because Jingliu definitely belongs here. She's just fallen off with age, unfortunately. That attack buff... Let me just put into perspective the difference between power creep. Obviously, there's self-buffs to Jingliu, so the damage isn't comparable to Jiao. But just kit-wise, Jingliu gains 100 and... I want to say 120 or 150, something like that, percentage of attack in her talent. Jiao gives 240%, right? So that's just like a little bit of like the difference between like the attack power. And obviously Jingliu was a DPS and Jiao's not going to be doing damage. Just to say that over time, the buffs that Jingliu gets is super oversaturated with some of our newer buffers, and she just cannot output any more damage than she really could when she released, unfortunately. Now, Feixiao versus Imbibitor and Yunli, because we took Jingliu out of the equation. I personally think Yunli is a 0.5 DPS. Yunli is just insane. Now, I don't think she's very popular, so I don't think she got very much attention, but her ability to play self-sustaining, right, is unmatched to any other DPSs in the entire game, and the fact that she can heal over 50% of her HP every time you use her skill really makes her seem like just one of the really best DPSs in the game. I don't even know what to say. Not to mention she's so fun. That Sekiro sound every time you parry, I will never get tired of, and genuinely, she is one of the most fun DPSs I've picked up on my account ever since Boot Hill, which wasn't that long ago. But these two, I don't know if there's something to do with the physical element, or maybe because these voice actors are in some type of marital arrangement. Not in-game. So, Feixiao with the addition of Robin and Topaz and maybe Moze in the future, I do want to say that he might just be rivaling Yunli, and I think probably he belongs. Honestly, Imbibitor, Yunli, probably all in the same tier as Feixiao, and we can move on from there. Clara. Jing Yuan, QQ, and Zila. I don't really understand why Clara is in the same category as these three. Clara is very good, but not as nearly as good as Zila, and not even as good as QQ. Now, if we're talking average QQ, probably QQ sucks. Unbelievably bad. But if you get lucky with QQ, then QQ is better than some of these characters sometimes. So that's just a rough situation. Jing Yuan, I don't have too much of an opinion on because I don't use him very much. Just not a fun character to use. Very good animations. The Lightning Lord is still one of my favorite animations in the game, but I think now that Jade came out, or there was another character that summoned something. It's at the tip of my tongue, but it's gone now, so we'll move on. Zila has probably some of the most fun gameplay, just because Resurgence is just awesome. You're getting a ton of actions. You have to think about what you're doing. And she also, if you're hitting your breakpoints, because she needs vertical investment at this point in the game, but if you have vertical investment, then she really, really shines, because doubling your turns on a kill is really just an insane ability, especially for the first DPS in the game. Now, Blade and Himiko is a very interesting decision because Blade is just not good, unfortunately, but Himiko has been on the rise, especially with Super Break, because she just does an insane amount of damage, very much likes breaking enemies because of her talent, and is just good. Also, her ult is extremely low cost, and she can get it in 2 turns, I believe. I haven't played Himiko in months, so don't hold me to that in particular. Now, when it comes to characters like Argenti, I don't know why he's below Blade. It quite literally makes no sense because he is the boss-killing MOC guy. I mean, he's the Erudition boss killer. So his multiplier on his enhanced ultimate is disgusting, not to mention the fact that we've pretty much only got physical weak enemies in the MOC at this point and before because of Boot Hill, because of Yunli. There's just a lot of physical. So he's very, very, very good. So very interesting to see him down here. Misha also is just great for a 4-star DPS. Not to mention, E1 is pretty much where he shines. Or no, E2, actually, because E4 is good and E6 is good for extra damage and the skill point, but E1 and 2 are, I think, his best Eidolons because of the Death Shred and because of the extra hits on the ultimate. So, he is a very, very good DPS to invest into early. Not to mention, when you're going against single target bosses like Aventurine, like Argenti, you know, we have Argenti right now, had him in the last one, we're going to have Aventurine in a couple of days. He shines. He really, really shines. He pretty much erases the need for a very good sustain because of his freezes, and his ultimate also comes back very, very fast with 100 energy, and he gets innate energy gain inside of his kit. So just an absolutely amazing DPS. Now, Serval being so under Jing Yuan is just sad, really, because Serval is better, unfortunately. Not in every situation, but in a lot of situations, because her ult is such low cost, and she outputs a very good amount of damage and gains energy. You know, just a very flexible 4-star DPS that at E6 is very, very, very strong, and does rival 5 stars. Dan Heng. I haven't done 0 cycles with Dan Heng in probably half a year, but you know what? He's just fine. That's all I got. Just fine. Herda. Don't really care about Herda and MOC. Never even attempted and probably never will. Hook. Still haven't leveled. Don't have an opinion, unfortunately. Sorry. Arlon. He's just bad. He's not bad because of his damage. His damage can actually be very good if you buff him. The problem is you cannot keep him at a low health and have him survive. It's impossible. It is impossible. Unless maybe you're using Aventurine with extra taunt value. I don't have both of them on the same account, so I can't test that. But it is so hard to keep Arlon alive if you want him at minimum health. And he has this one trace that I wasted a damn trace ball for, and it says that the first time he dies, he gets revived. Well, he doesn't. That only happens if he dies the very first turn or something stupid like that. It's a completely a waste of a ball, and it made me angry. Trailblazer, nothing to say. Yingqing is Yangqing is better than these. Why is Yangqing under Hook, Herda, and Dan Heng in MOC? That doesn't make any sense, but I think that's all we got. I don't really care for Pure Fiction or Apocalyptic Shadow, so to be honest, I, yeah. Pure Fiction, boring. Don't care much. Apocalyptic Shadow, who have they got here? Yeah, they put Gallagher up here, so I guess I can agree to that, and Memory of Chaos is all I care about. So hopefully they start releasing some good bosses, some new bosses. They won't until Ahule in 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks. So until then, I bid you all adieu, farewell, good luck in your polls if you're going for Jiao, or good luck in your sanity after looking at tier lists with your favorite characters not being number 1. Hit that subscribe button, join the Discord, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Adios.